Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and my second attempt at a Delta Force vehicle guide. This time I'm going to be focusing on the Apache Attack Helicopter. Specifically on how to stay alive in the face of the myriad of things that are trying to kill you, such as this Nightbird raining bullets down on me right now, as you can see. So whilst I play some footage from a really good round I had, let me explain how I'm going to go about doing this in some of the ground rules. First and foremost, like many others, I'm over the grieving process of how the helicopters handle compared to battlefields. I've already had my say on that, I'm not going to revisit it again. This video is me enjoying Delta Force for what it is and getting the best out of it that I can and trying to share what I've learned with you guys. The target being, as always, to make us collectively better players. I really value your feedback. You guys always point me onto good stuff, so please, I'm not the Lord. Shout up if you think I'm doing something wrong. We're here to make each other better. And next I just say I'm using default controls. I didn't change a thing, and for the bulk of the video, unless I call out otherwise, I'm using what I consider to be the best loadout of anti-vehicle rockets for my primary and anti-air guided missiles for the secondary. So that's actually quite different from 2042, where I don't use AA missiles. I think in Delta Force they're essential, and I'll try to convince you the same. So now we've got that out of the way, let's get on with the structure of the video. Like I was saying, the theme of this is how to stay alive, because I've actually found Delta Force attack helicopters very difficult to keep in the air compared to Battlefield 2042. And the way I see it, there are 4 primary threats, and I'm going to go through them in order of what I think are the most important, based on how often they killed me. Look at this guy deserting his tank. I will not tolerate desertion. I'll get him in a minute. So first, and by far the most challenging, is an air-to-air fight. I've gone through quite a lot of pain. I think I've worked out a pretty good way of handling it, and I'd like to share it with you. And as part of that section, I want to go into specifically how to maximize your chances of winning a Nightbird fight. Now don't get me wrong, I stand by what I said. If you're up against a Nightbird, it is definitely odds against you, but it can be done. Just quickly, if you see a vehicle call in, don't cook your own boys. I've had that happen to me a few times. In part 2, I want to talk specifically about the LATV Anti-Air, aka Wildcat. Bloody hell, they're lethal in this game. They are in dire need of being nerfed, but in this video, I'm going to give the best advice I've got on how to deal with them. And in part 3, I'm going to talk about the stationary anti-air guns, because there's actually a couple tricks to know about them. And if you don't build them into your game plan, you're going to get taken out quite easily. And after that, just to wrap up, just some general advice. I can't cover absolutely everything. I've got to keep the length of the video down to a reasonable level. But again, if you think I've missed anything, do shout out. So, I'll close this little intro by saying that despite being disappointed initially at how the attack helicopters handled, I have actually genuinely come to enjoy Delta Force. And yes, I admit I'm using this game as a stopgap until the next battlefield comes. That doesn't mean I'm not having fun. I assure you, if I thought something was rubbish, I would not waste my time playing it, never mind making a video about it. And for those of you who've been keeping score in this round, after I killed that Nightbird and now one very bizarre kill against an Apache, in this round my score was 4 Nightbirds, 1 LATV, 2 main battle tanks, 1 LATV anti-air, and an Apache. As it turns out, you can kill the pilot in the cockpit. So let's get started, and remember, no matter how much effort you put into trying to stay alive in this game, the one thing you can never protect yourself against is getting completely screwed over by your own team. Alright, enjoy.
Really?
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Absolute legend right there. Right, let's talk about surviving in the air. So, you've gone into your round, you spawned in your Apache. The first thing you want to do is go as high as possible and scan the battlefield looking for other helicopters. Because just like in 2042, you always want to attack from above and you want to get rid of the helicopters first. Now, if the Nightbird hasn't seen you, go for the Apache first because it's by far the quicker of the two to get rid of. Once they've flared, you've got 15 seconds to put as many AA missiles into them as you can, remembering that you always need to keep gaining altitude once the fight starts, particularly if they've got a gunner in the 30mm seat to stop you getting hit. Now, a full health Apache that uses its repair is going to take 3 AA missiles to down, so you don't have enough. So this is where you switch to the anti-vehicle rockets, and remember, you have to aim very, very high, particularly at this distance, to have the rockets converge on their target. Absolutely beautiful takedown. Now, in case you're wondering why I'm doing the helicopter equivalent of a teabag, this player, all of this round before I got the Apache, was basically spawn camping me and my friends, so I've decided to volunteer him to help me with the rest of the video for this section. Now, instead of opening up with the AA missile, you can go for AV straight off the bat. I missed, never mind. If it's taking them a while to line up on you, feel free to get another AA missile shot, but you want to switch over to AV rockets straight away, because they can end the fight in seconds. Now, here's a big difference from Battlefield. In Battlefield, in addition to aiming high, you also have to aim left or right when you're at close range. In Delta Force, you don't have to, the rockets will converge on the center. So in that regard, it's much easier to get the kill. Anyway, let's leave that guy alone, hopefully he's learned his lesson about spawn camping. This is basically the 101 for how to take down helicopters in Delta Force before they get a chance to take you out. And I would definitely encourage you to give up the AGMs for having the AA missiles. It's completely worth it. Let's just watch one more, then we'll switch over to discussing how to beat Nightbirds, which is a little bit different.
Be advised, enemy troops are attacking up. Sector Bravo is under enemy control. Smoke screen incoming.
Okay, Nightbirds. Now, not to generalize, there's typically two types of player. The ones that will run when they realize they've been made, and the ones that will stay and fight. Let's deal with the runners first. Now, if they attack you, and then they're at range like you're seeing here, fantastic news if you've got AA missiles. But what they're typically going to do when they realize that is use their superior speed and maneuverability to run for the floor to take advantage of the no lock-on mechanic that also exists in Battlefield. There you go, low altitude, can't lock onto them to try and escape. Switch to AV and finish them. Remember not to overcommit on the dive, because the last thing you want is a Nightbird getting above you. It's better to take a couple passes at it than to let it get above you because it's certain death. The one thing I absolutely recommend you never do is try to run from a Nightbird. You are slower, it will simply rip you apart with the miniguns or the 20mm if that's what they equipped. You really have no choice but to stand your ground, and don't panic. Let's watch one more, because something interesting happened in this one. I'll point it out when it does. Now, did you see that the AA missile missed? When a Nightbird dives or rolls, it can actually dodge AA missiles quite consistently. Can't really do that in Battlefield. At least not with any degree of consistency. The last thing just to quickly note about runners and Nightbirds in general is, unlike the Apache that can take 3 AA missiles, a Nightbird can only take 2 AA missiles, even if they use their repair cooldown effectively. So if you can land that opening shot, it gives you a really huge advantage on surviving the fight.
Echo 1. Objective Delta is...
So, what do you do when you run into that second type of Nightbird player, the fighter? Well, the moment the bullets start slamming into you, you have one path, and only one path to victory. As you can see, I'm playing in a Nightbird here, and I pretty much keep a steady beam on this Apache. They go for AA missiles, which is a terrible mistake. They had, from the counter you can see above there, a full 7 seconds to try to rocket me down. If you're face to face with a Nightbird, charge. It only takes a few AV rockets to see them off, and if you're in early game before you've unlocked them, you can even do it with anti-personnel rockets, although it doesn't hurt at all to have a friend in the 30mm gunner seat. Whilst we're on that topic, if you do have a gunner in the 30mm seat, give them the best shot you can, because even if you're fighting at range, you can absolutely delete a Nightbird. Just remember, if you're the pilot, you really need to pitch the nose up. Give your gunner the best range you can to land the shots. The guns are designed to fire down, not up.
Progress needs on our objective.
Another thing I mentioned earlier is that Nightbirds can roll and dodge AA missiles, just like this. I'm still practicing this, and I'm getting better, but I've seen people who are really good at it, so you really can't rely on AA missiles.
Ready.
Well, at least I fought into a draw. But look, please learn from my pain. Never run, and if you're up against a fighter, particularly an accurate one, you can't rely on AA rockets. You gotta use your AVs or your anti-personnel. If anybody out there has better advice, I would love to hear it, but that's the best I've got for you. It's not gonna go your way a lot of the time. Best of luck, guys. Right, this now brings us to the second most terrifying thing when you're an Apache pilot, and that is the horrifically overpowered LATV-AA, which can basically beam you from across the entire map in a matter of seconds. Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, here's a little example for you. I made a pass at this LATV-AA, aka Wildcat. Yeah, watch this. Okay, you think I'd be more or less away by now, right? Still hitting me, still locking me. I mean, he's on the other side of the map and behind a building, and I still got beamed. The only way to beat a LATV-AA is if you've got the AV rockets, you get them from a blind spot, preferably from behind, and you've got a mate who's sitting in the 30mm gunner seat who's backing you up. Thankfully, the LATV-AAs don't have APS, so once you start, you should be able to finish them off before they can down you. Now in Delta Force, in my opinion, there's only one map that actually has decent aerial cover, and that's Threshold. When you're playing on Threshold, you do actually have something of a chance of beating a Wildcat LATV-AA in a fight using the cover. But the moment they start hitting you, you must break off because it will melt you, particularly if it's got the 30mm gun on it. That was one of very few examples where I got into a fight with a LATV-AA and I actually managed to win in a helicopter. Most of the time I would recommend you just poke at them, taking advantage of cover where it exists, and if your team helps you out, nice surprise, maybe you can finish it off. One bit of advice I would give you is on Ascension, which is absolutely brutal to fly in. If you've got a spawn camping LATV-AA like this fellow here, they're going to run back to try and use a repair station back in their spawn. If you take advantage of the mountain, just remember to just quickly pop your head up to make sure that they are going where you think you're going. Yep, I can't see him, that means he's going for the repair station. You should be able to catch them out as they will drive up to it. So look, it can be done, but I don't want to sell you a fairy tale. 9 times out of 10 you're going to lose against a LATV-AA. If you've got AGMs, sometimes you get lucky that the player doesn't have countermeasures equipped yet, they haven't unlocked them. You can finish them off with AGM and anti-personnel rockets, but honestly, I'm getting away with this because this player is new. If they were experienced, or even if they had countermeasures, I would have been utterly shredded for this. I'm afraid the bad news I've got though is that if you have a LATV-AA Wildcat player who knows what they're doing and is absolutely singularly dedicated to staying focused on you, they're not worrying about score, they are just going for you. And the instant you pop your head into line of sight, even on the other side of the map, they start shooting at you, I'm afraid there's absolutely nothing that you can do. You won't be able to get anywhere near them, you're going to spend the rest of the round hiding. All you can do is hope that someone else on your team is going to take them out for you and let you back into the match. Now, I'm not naive. I'm aware there's probably a good few number of players out there who think this is a good thing. Anything that limits the power of a helicopter and kills them is absolutely fine with me. I hate them, the scourge of the skies. And you could also make the point it's my team's fault for not knocking out the AA guns and letting me back into the map. All I'm here to say is from a player's point of view, if you're in this situation, there's nothing you can do. Okay, this brings us to the final major threat, the stationary AA turrets. These things can spring to life as quickly as someone can jump into them and absolutely demolish a helicopter. There's about 8 to 10 of them in any given map, so in addition to fighting the LATV-AAs, you now also have to worry about these guys. As you can see there, they're very small, very difficult to spot, suddenly coming to life and trying to blow you away. The good news is, as long as you can line yourself up behind cover, they're actually quite easy to take out. AV rockets have very reasonable range, they're very precise, and you can also have the benefit of blowing up the AA station like you're seeing there from the fireworks, which means another engineer player has to come along and repair them. Anyway, here's one on top of a skyscraper. You can see the player standing next to it. They're about to jump in and start shooting at me, so now I have to go deal with that.
Allied forces are engaging as objective Echo 2.
So just on this next one, here's an example of what happens when you don't actually destroy the gun and it stays up for grabs for the next player to just run into. You can see I changed my mind. Rather than going for the gun, I tried to take out the player. That was actually a bit of a mistake. I should have just stayed focused on the gun. Now I knew I missed, so I went low to try and stay out of the way, but it's waiting for me the moment I pop my head back up. So as you can see, that guy very nearly got me there, and on this pass, what this is going to show you is that unless you score direct hits, it's actually very unlikely you're going to be able to splash damage the player sitting on the station. But yeah, learning from my mistake on the previous clip, don't aim for the player, aim for the gun. You can go and kill everybody afterwards if you manage to take it out early.
The enemy has taken objective Charlie 1. The enemy has secured sector Delta.
Right, so checking the clock, we are coming up on the 15-minute marker, so it's probably time to round this up. When you start your Apache journey, you're not going to have AV missiles and AA, you're going to have anti-personnel rockets and AGMs. Just hang in there, guys, do the best you can, and get yourself the anti-vehicle rockets and the AAs as soon as you can, and you will have a much better journey. I promise it gets a lot easier than the default equipment you start with when you first play the game. I hope you found this useful. I tried to limit myself to the big ticket items. If you think I missed anything, do let me know. Otherwise, have a wonderful weekend, and I'll catch you at the next one. Alright, thanks very much. Bye-bye.
The enemy has taken objective Charlie 2.